darling sweetheart, if there's food saved for you in the fridge,
time for wasted lunch.
Put it away when you get your portion, okay?
For good reasons.
That's all right.
I was busy gaming with my two youngest kids. Board gaming, not video gaming. No. Gaming. Real gaming. Old school. Old school, low tech. But you know what? It's hard to even say it's low tech because the board games they come out with nowadays have such amazing minds behind them designing these games, coming up with these ideas that to say it's just low tech is kind of an insult to some of the real brainiacs out there and inspired individuals who develop these games. But low-tech meaning, yes, we're still talking cardboard, we're still talking plastic bits and pieces, we're still talking paper and keeping track of stuff and adding numbers, subtracting numbers, things like that, well, hell, you don't have to do in video games. A video game does pretty much all that for you. But my son has been, over the last couple days, plays this Roblox game. You probably heard of it. Plays a Roblox game and says, Dad, play the game with me. And I have to keep answering, I'm not playing the game with you, Paul. He still has a hard time figuring out that I'm not using this hand to use a controller. So, yeah, I can't do it. You know, I don't want to rip my stitches open, so I'm not doing that. So, but we keep our kids to a minimum on playing video games anyways because we don't want them to be so dependent on technology for fun. We want them to have to use their brains to come up with their own fun. And board games are a great way of going about this because, yeah, somebody else might have designed it. Somebody else came up with the design and all the ideas. But what's great about a good board game is that a good board game, in my opinion, brings about player interaction with one another. And so today we played a couple board games. I'll show you which ones they are. I'm going to ask my wife Teresa if she could you slide me that Clue one right there, honey?
Sure.
Thanks.
Producer.
Thank you, my producer, wife. Clue Junior was the first game we played. We got this game from my sister and brother-in-law, right, honey? For a Christmas gift. It has been sitting in the wrapper until now. So I told my kids, you know what? We're going to crack that baby open. We're going to give it a try and see how it's going. Shout out to Sean. I see you're watching, dude. Hope you're doing fantastic, brother. Just talking a little bit about board games. We played Clue Junior. Here's the problem. Kids were already used to playing regular Clue. So when they heard that this is not about solving a murder, they're like, okay, what's this stuff, huh? Because, you know, just like the front of the box says, my first Clue game. So it's really designed to be an introductory game to kind of shoehorn your kids into the worlds of crime and murder. Okay, but first starts out, this game is about finding out who ate a piece of cake, at what time, and what drink they had with it. Where, of course, the traditional Clue game is who's the murderer, where did the murder take place, and what was the weapon used to end somebody's life. My kids were already hip on that, so this was kind of a step down for them. And they sure made that point be known. But still, nonetheless, we played through the game one time, and we still enjoyed it. Probably would have enjoyed it more had my kids not played the regular Clue game, but it is what it is, and we are where we are in that chronology. You know, they started out playing regular Clue, so they still have fun though. And completely different feel to this game than the regular Clue, because in this game you are not doing all the what is it? Suspicions, when you suspect somebody and then people have to reveal cards and information they have. That doesn't take place in Clue Junior.
Hello?
Finding clues is completely different. You have to end on certain spots on the board to be able to reveal things on the bottom of these bases, and it's just different. It's different. And there is not as much player-to-player interaction as there is with the original Clue. So the original Clue has one up on that, and the fact that you do have to interact with your opponents as part of the game. This one you do not. You don't have to say anything to anybody else until you come up with your accusation, which is a one-shot deal. You're either right or you're wrong. If you're wrong, you're out of the game. You definitely did not win. If you're right, you're the winner of the game. And everybody else, whatever they've been doing, it's all for naught. You are now the champion. You solved the crime of who ate the missing piece of cake and what they drank with it. So, yeah. However, another game we played after that, we played this before. This is a heavier box. And this is Frag. And this is the gold edition, which I guess is better than the old Frag, which I never played the old Frag. I lucked out and I got this game for a decent price at a used stuff store that did not specialize in games, or else they would have charged me more, of course. Frag. And what's cool about this game is, once you figure out how it's played, and once the mechanics start becoming more natural to you, what it really is a simulation of a first-person, every man for himself kind of shooter. Like Halo multiplayer, where everybody is just, where it's deathmatch. Hell, I suppose you could play team deathmatch in this. Because that's what this is. I mean, it emulates that. How it works out is, there's some maps. Let me see if I can get them on the board here. Is it upside down? It's upside down. Can't see the maps on here. But, maps are big. Okay? And they look like laboratory setups. And the figures are pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, shit. There's no pictures of figures on the back. The figures are cool enough. They look kind of like robotic guys. They're cool enough to where I took them and painted them all by hand. So I liked them enough to do that, to give them some character. And they turned out pretty good. I'm not too, I'm pretty decent at painting miniatures, so it turned out pretty rad. And what you're doing is, the game is called Frag because that is what it's about. It is about fragging people. It is about killing people.
Hello.
Plain and simple. However, where it gets more complicated, although it's not complicated once you get the handle of it, it ends up being like multiplayer Halo or something. See Sean saying, what's my favorite board game? Alright, I played quite a few board games. I would have to say, hands down, Tales of the Arabian Nights, my favorite board game. That game, because one of the most amazing things about the game is, okay, it is basically a storytelling game, but it is the type of game to where the person who loses the game has just as much fun as the person who wins the game. Alright? Still turns out fun either way. It's a great game. I like the atmosphere of it too. Tales of the Arabian Nights, obviously it is based on the story of 1001 Arabian Nights. Which to me...
There's another game out there? There's another Arabian Nights?
Another Arabian Nights? No. There was an earlier one. I have the newest edition, which has been much improved over the old one. It has many more stories. It's got like 1,000 more stories than the first one. And what it is
absolutely fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. It's beautiful. Artwork is drop dead gorgeous. The cards and the pieces parts that go with the game, beautiful components. There's a huge map that spreads all the way from Europe to Asia to India and all the way into northern Africa, I believe. Okay, you got the Middle East and the whole spiel, and some parts of Asia are in there too, aren't there? And
I'm sorry?
some of Asia's in there too.
I think so.
I mean, besides China, there's like, it's a fantastic game. It's got a great board, and you know, luck comes into a lot of it or whatever. But here's what makes it so rad. If you're the kind of player who goes into a board game just, man, I just want to win this game. I want to crush everybody else. I want to be the top dog or whatever. You're not going to like the game. Okay? You're going to friggin' hate it. Because a lot of things are left to fate. Okay? Kind of like the whole mystical, legendary Arabian Nights stories themselves. I mean, so much of it is destiny and things like that. But what makes it fun is it's a story, it's an interactive story that you are part of. Okay? You play of one of, I can't remember how many characters are in it. 5, 6, I'm not sure. You can play as Sinbad. You can play as, is Ali Baba in that? I can't remember, honey. Is Ali Baba in there? Scheherazade is in there. And anyways, you can choose a character you start out with, and when you start out with, there are quests that you go on that, you know, to complete them, you might have to go in some far off place. Everybody starts out in Baghdad, okay? And to finish the game, you got to end up in Baghdad. But goals and everything aside, it's the things that happen in between the start of the game and the end of the game that really matter. Okay? It's all about a journey. It's all about the story unfolding before you.
And you can have a great run, or you can
have all kinds of great things happen, or you can have terrible shit happen a lot of the time. You can get curses put upon you. You can win vast fortunes and become royalty. You can be homeless. You can be a beggar who's deformed and has curses on him and who everybody hates. But you still get to have a story that you are part of. You still get to make decisions. You run into situations where there may be a lion and you can choose one of several different things to do with this lion. You could pray. You could attack the lion. You could follow the lion. You make a choice, and then it turns into a choose your own adventure book on steroids is what happens. And anything can happen in this game. I mean, anything can happen. You can end up getting married in this game and having kids. You can end up married. You can get divorced.
Well, I can't use the machine.
You could end up running into a situation in a village to where you have the option to marriage the chieftain's daughter or sheik's daughter or whatever, and then if you decline, you could be turned in, you could be considered an asshole by everybody and hated, okay? And this stuff can follow you from that point on and can affect the outcomes of different situations you're in negatively. Or you can have bad things happen that make you more held in higher regards. Like, you can get hurt and crippled, and sometimes that'll actually help you. Gives you more respect. It's weird how this stuff works out. Some of the things are average, everyday kind of situations that could have happened back in historic times in the Middle East. Robberies and kidnappings and things like that. But sometimes these things end up leading to very mystical, supernatural things. Supernatural creatures and spirits and witches. And all these things you got to interact with and try and make the best decision you can to remedy these situations. And sometimes what most people would agree would be the smartest option ends up turning out to be terrible. Terrible things can happen. Even when you make a decision that seems like it's a great decision.
You're done. Turn it off. Nope, you're done.
But
you were told. You were warned. How?
But incredible game. Awesome game. But that would be my favorite game.
Get off the Roblox.
Lots of fun.
Marvel superheroes for your
35
minutes, okay? I said
lots of fun.
Off.
What's your favorite game, Sean?
He was trying to send somebody a friend request on Roblox, and now he's crying because he got caught. And I told him, it's done. That's dangerous.
Yeah. He's, things going on with kids playing games they're not supposed to be playing in the background. Online. Alright, well, don't bellyache about it. Just play Lego Avengers, period. But, what's your favorite game? Risk. Sean, you know what? I have to admit, this might make me a bad guy. You know, I sit here and sometimes talk about video games. I will admit, dude, I've never played Risk. I came close to playing it many, many times. And it seemed like every time I came close to playing the game, got to a point where it was at a point in the night where there was not enough time to play the damn game. And another thing is, I need to play the game with somebody who knows that stuff good. Because your first time playing a game, sometimes the bigger the game is, the worse it is to try and figure it out while you're playing it. So, I have not played Risk.
You are not Roblox.
I have not played Risk. I have played a lot of games, but haven't played Risk. I have played some strategy games, but not on that big of a scope. Like the Tales of the Arabian Nights game is not a strategic game. Although it takes place on a grand scale, it is not a strategy game. Now this game that I was talking about, Frag.
It's for your safety, kiddo.
That game, you can use strategy and tactics in it. What's neat about it is, being that the Frag game is like a first-person shooter. I mean, it's pretty much... Oh, you like categories, too. I love categories. Loved playing that growing up. A lot of my family did not like playing it with me because I was pretty good at categories, and people got frustrated with me, and then, you know, didn't want to play it anymore.
I bet you it would be horrible to play Scrabble with, too.
I never played Scrabble. Or Upwards, kind of. Upwards is kind of Scrabble's hillbilly cousin, isn't it? Honey?
I've never heard of that one.
Call my wife honey, Sean, not you. No offense. I just don't roll like that. Never played Upwards, never played Scrabble. You know, one game that I've been wanting to play, small game, Boggle. Boggle, yeah. Been wanting to play Boggle, but I've never played it.
You want to be like Peggy Hill.
Yeah, I want to be like Peggy Hill from King of the Hill. but I never played it. But I keep getting away from the one game that I was talking about, and the only reason I'm talking about it is because I just played it. And if you guys get a chance to play Frag, if you like board games and you like first-person shooters, like Halo and stuff like that, where you're in kind of an arena, run around killing each other, Frag's a good game. You know, no, it is not the same exact thing as playing a video game. It's not on a TV, but it is pretty much the same thing. There's power-ups. When you kill somebody, there's a blood spot left over, and you can claim their weapons or goodies on Frag. When you get killed, you have to roll, and you respawn in a random place on the map. Okay, there's rooms you can hide out in. There's upgrades you can get. There's super duper weapons. Like, I went to battle against my son using a chainsaw on him. Yeah, friggin' chainsaw, dude. Ran up to my son one time, thought, okay, I'm gonna frag him. He's about to be out of this. I'm gonna have another notch in my belt. I'm right up on him, got my shotgun, boom, ready to blast him. What do you know? He pulls out a special card, a fumble card that you can pull at any time on your opponent. Boom, slaps down a fumble card. I didn't even know they existed, dude. Made me fumble my gun and not be able to use it. So what does he do? He turns around and attacks me. He kills me instead. Went to all this trouble to get right up on this boy and blast him with the shotgun. Pulls a fumble card on me. Boom, I drop my weapon. It's his turn. Pow. Kills me. Done and over with. So, wild stuff like that can happen in Frag 2. And what's pretty cool about the game and the instructions are, there's a lot of stuff left open to house rules. You know, in the instructions it says, you know what?
I need your help in a
If
minute.
you interpret something a certain way, if your group interprets something in the game a certain way, and it seems fun, do it. So, not many instructions say stuff like that in there. Another thing about this game, it's a Steve Jackson game. I have not played any other Steve Jackson games. So I'm not going to hype it up because I'm a Steve Jackson games fan. Okay? Because I've never played his other games. I know his Munchkin games are immensely popular. Never played any of them. So, if you ever played Munchkins or something, you know, anybody played Munchkins, share about that. I'd like to hear if they're enjoyable or not. Or if it's just some weird little cult behind Steve Jackson that goes out and plays these games. Alright? Because I don't know. But the Frag game, very good. Lots of fun. Once you get the mechanics down, rolls pretty quick. And it's just, you know, bloodthirsty, I guess. But it's not graphic or anything like that. The figures are not gory. They're pretty much robot-looking dudes.
I don't know, maybe
But you got all kinds of weapons. Shotguns, laser guns, cannons.
Is your back
All kinds of special boosts. You can teleport in it. Dude, there's teleport spots.
Takes time.
Marcus, what's up, dude? Matt, what's up, dude?
Alright, can you do this for me, or is it too
You can
personal?
teleport. I'm talking about Frag.
Because it's got to go
Gold
right
edition.
here.
Board
You
game.
gotta put one
It's a lot of fun.
on either
And
side.
what's fun about it is, compared to playing Halo or some multiplayer with my kids, is that, you know, we can look at each other while we're playing. When you're playing the video game, everybody's just
very opposite.
at the TV screen. But when you're in a board game and you look over and you see your
Close to the spine.
10-year-old son's face starting to crack this evil demonic grin.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at his cards. You know something bad's going to happen, and that's
3
fun.
inches above the last
Okay,
one.
that's fun that I don't get with playing a video game. Okay, and then he lays out some crazy cards and all of a sudden frags me.
Alright.
I mean, that's fun.
Opposite
That's fun I
side.
can't have with a video game. And then usually there's jokes and there's a little bit of, you know,
Okay.
beating of the chest,
Now I need
you
you
know,
to plug me in.
little alpha male kind of thing going on there. People bragging about themselves, you know. And that fun, just, you don't get to see that face to face when you're playing with somebody who's on the couch next to you. You know. That's why I like board games.
Okay.
So that's why I endorse them and encourage people, man, get a chance, play some damn board games. Because these board games are not like the stuff from old days. These board games they're coming out with nowadays are so well thought out. So many of them have so much brain power thrown into the designs and the mechanics of them that these play like nothing you ever played from the 70s or early 80s. I mean, it's totally different. Oh. Totally different ball game. Board games are not what they used to be. They are totally, I mean, they ain't playing around anymore.
My ears start smoking.
So, you guys played any cool board games, you know, like from the 90s and up?
Yeah.
That are interesting, that aren't the classics, man. Be sure to share about that stuff. Love to hear about them. But, and, you know, the good thing about the board games, too, is if you got one person in your whole group, okay, let's say you have friends over and they don't know jack shit about board games, but you know the game inside and out, then it is so much easier for them to sit down and be able to pick up the game. As long as one dude or one dudette knows that game,
yeah, you can't
it can go a lot smoother because, you know, people don't like to sit around while you're reading the instructions on learning how to play. Okay. Done that stuff with my kids, and, you know, they last about 5 minutes sitting around while the old man's reading instructions, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're out of there. They can't handle sitting around. I don't blame them. Because I think about when I was a kid, hell, as an adult, I don't want to sit around and listen to somebody read a big, long-ass instruction book. So, but if you already know the game in and out, then the games can go smooth, even with newbies. It'd be a lot of fun. And, you know, you can end up turning a lot of people onto board games that never would have thought of even playing them. You know, people who grew up and think board games are pretty much just Monopoly and Candyland and junk like that.
They're not?
No, they're not. See? But, yeah, you can end up turning some other people onto them. And if you're listening to this, you might be one of the doubters. You might be the doubting Thomas. Get out there and buy a damn board game.
We should try.
Get it online. Yeah. Yeah, I know. We got to learn how to play that. Get online. There's a website called BoardGameGeek.com. Okay, they got reviews on thousands of board games. Read those reviews on something. See a game at a store, and you know these board games ain't cheap either anymore. I mean, a lot of them are not cheap. So you see these board games at the store. Go home, go on your phone while you're at the store. Look up these things on BoardGameGeek.com. Check out the reviews. See if it sounds like something you could get into playing. See if it sounds too difficult or too complex if you're new to board gaming that you don't want to get into. One of the things on reviews on BoardGameGeek.com that I didn't understand when I first started reading that was at the beginning when you click on a game, it brings up a picture of the board and it says wait.
Says not to go swimming wearing this or sit around high explosives.
The wait, what the wait means is, because I'm like, why the hell do I care how much this box of board game weighs? That's not what it means. Weight means the difficulty of the game, okay? So if it's like a 1, you know, it's real easy to learn. If it's like a 4 or whatever, I forget how high it goes up to, then you know it's much more complex. It's going to take longer to learn. Alright, and just like any other hobby, it's usually best start out with more beginner type stuff. Even if you feel you are an intellectual master, you might want to
is neat.
even though you are consider yourself an intellectual master and brainiac, you still want to start out with lower power games because
really strong and I didn't
learning the mechanics of games and that translation from the instruction manual
I'm only doing 15 minutes,
to the board can be kind of it's not very intuitive a lot of the times, you know. A lot of the times translation is kind of abstract. So start out with the easier stuff. But BoardGameGeek.com, awesome website. I mean, they got reviews of thousands of games. They explain the plots of the games. They explain what type of game it is, whether it's player versus player, whether it's cooperative, whether it's hard to learn. And then, of course, you got reviews where it's just people saying this game playing out sucks, and it sucks for this reason, that reason. And a lot of these people were really in depth over the reviews. You know, a lot of people will put out huge paragraphs explaining what they had difficulties learning, what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, the pros and cons, and then they'll have it all boiled down at the end, what kind of players they think would enjoy this game. So I can't say enough good stuff about, when it comes to board gaming, about BoardGameGeek.com. That's where, you know, it's a good place to start for learning about that stuff. It's a good hobby, I think. And if you get a really good board game, you could luck out and get a game that that once you learn it, it'll be easier for you to teach your friends, and you can get lots of gameplay out of it. You know, you get that right game. You know who your friends are. You know what kind of stuff they like. And that's what it's about, knowing the crowd. But you also got to be able to enjoy it yourself. I didn't mention that, you know, yes, kind of strange. I'm sitting here, I don't have a shirt on. I usually have a shirt on. But no, I'm not nude. I'm not broadcasting nude. I have a hat on, okay? So, just getting that out there. And I have a bandage on my hand, so not that bad. But anyways, see, somebody's still on here live with me. Who is it? What's up? Holler at me. I can't really tell who it is because your picture is like that small on my screen. So I can't tell if it's Marcus, Megan, or Matt watching. Somebody holler at me. Let me know what's going on with you. Man.
No.
Gaming. Do you guys board game? Who's on here? Shout out at a honky. Oh, it's Sean. Hello, Sean. Okay, I couldn't tell if it was you or not. Okay. Now I'm making out, okay, now I'm making out the picture. That is the picture of you and your uncle, right? Now I'm trying to figure out what your uncle's name is. Honey, do you remember Sean's uncle?
I'm thinking. Ryan.
Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My wife remembers stuff a hell of a lot better than I do. But yeah, your uncle who I met on that camping thing, great guy. Yeah, Risk. Maybe sometime we'll be camping together again. You can teach me how to play Risk. That'd be cool. You'll probably crush me at it.
What's wrong?
Yeah, because one of the only strategic games that comes to my memory that I've played in recent years has been a Magic game, but it is not Magic the Gathering, sitting around with just cards. It's Magic Arena of Planeswalkers, I think, and it's more a strategic game with figures in it. Oh, you got Risk in your camper. See, could have been learning how to play Risk when we were camping out. Oh, who knows? Maybe we'll luck out and go camping again.
I know how to play Risk.
Oh, and guess what? Vinny knows how to play Risk too, dude. So you guys can both crush me. I can be. You guys can be like the superpowers, like Russia and the U.S.
He's got 15 minutes.
And, you know, I'll be some gimpy little country like Pakistan or something. I don't know.
Well,
I don't even know if that's how the hell the game works.
Well, you have to first.
I mean, you start out in one place.
Not in like America. You can have parts of America and parts of like Africa and parts
Like
of
parcels.
Yes, and you have to divide it all amongst yourself. And
do you ever completely take over countries?
yes, you fight each other, and you eventually try to dominate the world.
Okay, so okay, here, Sean, I'm going to be talking to Vinny and you. So, Vinny, you could have like territories in North America, and so could Sean, and then you guys could have a power struggle over who's going to take control of the whole continent.
And the more you get, more guys per piece of land you take over too.
Oh, okay.
Because it has bonuses. It has like 7, you know, artillery and stuff.
Interesting.
7.
Would you guys say it's a difficult game to learn?
No, it wasn't that hard to learn.
I hear that one of the biggest difficulties in the game is the time it takes to play it.
It takes forever.
It takes forever. Is what Vinny says. Sean, how long does an average game of Risk take for you? And I imagine it probably takes longer with the more people you got playing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's powering off.
But, Sean, let's say you're playing a 2-player game of Risk. How long do you think it takes?
I don't know why it won't charge.
Yeah.
Probably an hour and a half. 2 hours.
Right,
Vinny says he's played 2-player games in an hour and a half, 2 hours. How about you, Sean? I think probably some of it would depend on, let's see, 1 to 2 hours. Sean agrees. I would think, you know, also if you had like that one dude who just sat there and kind of got analysis paralysis and really sat back and kept thinking about it, then, you know, then you might have a deal where that dude is going to be taking a long time, you know, but
it's a really fun game though. Risk is fun.
It is fun.
Like
it's worth the time you invest.
The Lord of the Rings.
That's a big
Risk
question.
The Lord of the Rings Risk is the best.
Okay, Vinny says he's played the Lord of the Rings Risk, and
I've played the normal one too.
And he's played the normal one. He actually likes Lord of the Rings even better. Is it because of the theme?
It's because of the little characters.
That figures are just so cool. That's what turns him on to that one. I like games with miniatures. Don't get me wrong, I can play games without miniatures. As long as the mechanics are cool,
Yeah, in the normal...
I can dig it.
In the normal Risk, sometimes they're just literally like...
Yeah, sometimes
blocks.
they're just little blocks on the Risk ones, on the older ones. Sometimes they're actual... You can see the artillery pieces and the dudes, and that's pretty cool too. And I imagine if somebody wanted to get super crazy, they could actually paint those too.
No, some of them...
Somebody could paint them.
Some of them are like weird to where they're already painted. Like,
some are pre-painted?
Yeah, but they're just painted black or painted...
Well, I'll tell you something too cool for you Risk geeks out there. And the one that's in my house right now.
You wouldn't want to paint them though.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something cool for you geeks on the Risk thing. I saw this online. It's pretty rad. Dude took a small, round wood table, okay, and either burnt or engraved in it, okay, the map from Risk. And the wood on this table was a very light colored wood. Then this dude took dyes, okay, and matched them up with the colors from the Risk map, okay, and put them into the tabletop, right? So now they've got a dedicated Risk table, right? So the whole table is for nothing but Risk, you know. So obviously these dudes totally geeked on Risk, and even though I never played Risk, thought, wow, that is really sweet. Because I thought, maybe, after seeing that, I'm like, well, shit, man, I'd like to make me a Stratego table, right? Because I like Stratego. I'm like, shit, I ought to do that for Stratego, dude. That'd be fun.
Oh, I got so good at Stratego.
Now my son Vinny is bragging about how he's a monster at Stratego.
I've gotten so good over, like...
I'm going to have to play it again to see if I can knock his ass down a peg. Because his lip is just getting too big right now.
He's just saying I got good, my man.
Vinny, I'm having some fun with this. This is a webcast, everybody. Boy, the sensitivity of the youth nowadays. Through the roof. My goodness. You know what? And I'm generally speaking, I swear each generation you go back, the people were tougher. I think a 7-year-old from the 1800s would be like 12 times as mentally tough as a 30-year-old nowadays. You know, some people had to deal with shit we don't have to deal with, you know, plagues and shit like that, and, you know. But yeah, it's called having fun, Vinny.
I know.
Hamming it up here. Schmaltz. But, yeah, I thought, dude, it'd be rad to make a Stratego table. I know people have done a hell of a lot of cool creative things with the Chinese checkerboards. You know, people have been making custom Chinese checkerboards forever. Just like they've been making custom chessboards. My wife has turned into an android. I have an android wife. I'm not rich, but somehow I ended up with a Stepford wife. Look at this. Look at this stuff, guys. It's got wires and stuff all hooked up to her. Too much. Oh, look at that.
Ouch!
Oh, there went my eardrum. Gotta be careful. She's getting shocked and shit right now. She's got these electrodes hooked up to her back. You guys saw her showing them off and stuff. And since she showed them off, a little karma came back and zapped her, literally. Only not in the butt, but in the hands, right? Okay, the electrodes got pulled off by the chair. Alright. And then she picked them up. They zapped your fingers? Is that what happened? Honey, she doesn't want to talk to me now. Oh my gosh. She got zapped. Okay, I had these electrodes hooked up to her back. She's got a bad back problems, and she got this home back zapper thing. You know, you hook something up and shock the hell out of yourself in your back. You know, it's supposed to help you. And they got pulled off by the chair. Then she grabbed them, and I guess they were still going off. Is that what? Still not talking to me. Anyways, stick them on Helen. Paul, let's see how they like them.
No.
No, we're not going to.
It's not a toy.
Oh boy, I'm getting a serious thing. Now, had that been me, guys. Let's see, Sean saying he's been shocked before. It's not fun. You got some sympathy coming from Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Teresa says thank you. Now, you guys know that provided my wife will go along with it, I am going to have to try this zap therapy stuff. Okay? I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to try getting zapped. And that's all there is to it. Now, when it's zapping your back, is it hurt when you're getting zapped on the back? Okay.
Because it's going into where the pain is.
Okay. So I take it there was not pain in your hands when you zapped them?
There is now.
There is pain now. Wow. And I imagine there's an intensity rating on that,
yes.
right?
I'm on one.
Okay, we went from board games to watching my wife get electrocuted. So, I don't know how your afternoon's going, but, I mean, if you're watching this, at least you got some entertainment, you know. I'm being called a jerk. Do you guys think I'm a jerk because you guys heard the screaming and shouting and hooting and hollering, but you didn't get to see the dance that was going on while she was getting shocked. Okay, I can't even speak straight. It reminded me of somebody dancing around while firecrackers were going off under their feet. But,
what's wrong? What are you crying about?
Oh, no.
You know what, I don't care.
Did you break the PS3?
So,
no.
Let's see, Sean, you've been shocked. How'd you get shocked, buddy? What kind of shocking? Did you pee on an electric fence? I've heard of people doing that. I have tried very hard not to do that in my life. Lucked out, never peed on an electric fence.
What's wrong? Because I told you to shut up?
Is that what happened to you, Sean?
Well, honey, because you
Tell me the
and
truth.
Paul
Is that what
tried
happened?
to talk over me and tell
Did you pee
me
on an electric fence?
what you don't understand.
Stuck my fingers in the electric sockets before.
Me too.
That hurts. A broken light bulb, or the light bulb sockets, accidentally grabbed into them babies. Now you pulled on the cord too fast. That'll do it. That'll do it. I had a cousin who was, we worked at a computer shop. My cousin Bob was plugging something in or whatever, had his fingers on one of the prongs, plugging it in. He got blown across the room. I'm still getting a mean look, guys, from my wife. I think that's a bad sign when your wife's nostrils are flaring, I think. But one of the worst times I got shocked was actually, I don't know if I said this before, or maybe a Christmas edition, was we had an old, big old ass, this is back in the 80s, floor model TV. And this was one of the ones with the big wooden cabinet that surrounded it. And this was a big screen TV for back then, which probably meant what, 25 inch? Back then? Probably something like that, but used to turn the TV on and let Christmas time let tinsel stick to the screen. Okay. Well, what was funny about this TV was sometimes if your hand was touching the screen when you turned the TV on, it would zap you.
We used to have TV like that.
Okay. Well, this one, I had left the TV on and let tinsel stick to it. It attracted tinsel. And I did that till the whole screen was covered with tinsel. Then I turned the TV off, put my left hand on the screen with all that tinsel, pushed the power button, and got blown backwards across the foyer from it. That was an intense zap. That one, it shook me up quite a bit. But that's one of the better zaps I've had happen to me. But yeah, I mean, it's electronic age. There's so many ways of getting shocked now. My wife also one time, this is kind of bizarre, and she really lucked out on this one. We're down in the basement, and there was a thunderstorm outside. I don't know if there were tornadic activity. Is that why we were down in the basement? Okay, there was, tornado warning, watch, whatever it was. We were down in the basement. I think you were, leaning on the washer?
I was going to do a load of laundry.
She was going to do a load of laundry.
So I was leaning on the washer.
She was leaning on the washer. And there was a big thunderclap outside. And then a couple seconds later, she got zapped. So, I don't know where the lightning struck down, but apparently electricity got in the house somewhere, came in, went through the washer and zapped her.
You're fine.
She lucked out that
she
didn't get electrocuted, real bad.
Something is wrong with it.
Which,
it does not want to charge.
Well, she's talking to my daughter right now. Honey, what ended up happening about that shock there anyways. Did you have a headache?
A thunderstorm.
Pardon me, guys.
And then something hit the ground. And I got shocked.
But your injuries?
I didn't really have it because Jillian was like a conduit because she was holding my hand.
Oh, Jillian, our daughter, got zapped too.
So it went through me and her.
Went through my wife and into our daughter. Jillian zapped her too.
So there wasn't a whole lot of owie on that one.
Okay. But did you have a headache or anything afterwards?
My arm hurt.
Her arm hurt. You know, I always thought, like when stick a finger in a light socket or something, to me it feels like, not that I've ever had it happen, feels like an alligator or something bit on the end of my hand when I do something like that.
I'll do dishes later, I just didn't know.
Anyway, yeah, late, wasted lunch today, but for good reasons, guys. You know, gaming with the kids, and so if you're a parent out there, try and take my advice. Get those kids off their tablet and their phones and video game system for a while. Make them game with you. I know I've said it before, but I haven't board gamed for a while and just finally board gamed again. And now, you know, seeing what I've been missing. So I'm hyping it up again. But, you know, the not fun part about it, of course, is learning how to play the game all over again if you haven't played it for a while. So, it helps to keep in shape. With the video games, stay pumped and remember how to play the damn game so you're not starting off with the whole rule book and having to read through the whole damn thing again. That can be difficult. A lot of the times when I've laid off game for a while and I pick up the rule book, things will start clicking and snapping and popping back into place, and it'll be easier to pick up on. But I think for right now, I'm going to hop off of here, guys. Let everybody else get back to whatever the heck they're doing. It's past lunchtime for me. I didn't eat lunch, so I gotta eat something myself. But anyways, thanks for tuning in and watching, guys.
No, she didn't. She
get back, you know, try a board game out. I'm gonna hop off here. Wish you guys
she was in here for a few
happy,
minutes. She got
awesome
off
day,
at 20 after.
and I'll be back on tomorrow. All right. All right. Be careful. See you later. Bye.